Found out my name wasn't even mentioned in my parents' will, everything went to my sister. So I quietly stopped covering their bills. A month later, Mom texted, "Power's about to get shut off." No hello, no explanation. I just replied with one word, and blocked her. I'm Mark, 32, and for most of my adult life, I played the role of the dependable son. Not the golden child, no, that title belonged to my younger sister, Lindsay, but the one who picked up the slack, the one who paid the overdue bills without being asked, the one who quietly covered the mortgage when Dad got laid off and Mom's temporary illness turned into 2 years of me shouldering every expense from groceries to utilities. I didn't complain, I didn't make speeches, I just helped because that's what I thought family meant: loyalty, sacrifice, showing up even when no one claps for you. I never noticed how one-sided it was until a few months ago. It was a Thursday, ordinary like most days when something big happens and you don't know it yet. I'd just gotten home from work, still in my dress shirt, microwaving leftovers when my phone buzzed. It was a message from my cousin Amy, just a simple "Hey, sorry to hear about the will." That's brutal. I stared at it for a second, not understanding. What will? A second later, she sent a blurry photo of some paperwork, my dad's handwriting, my mom's signature. I scrolled through it slowly, my fingers suddenly cold. It was real. My parents had finalized their will a few weeks earlier, without telling me, and every last thing they owned, from the house I helped keep from foreclosure to the small lake cottage my grandfather built, had been left to Lindsay. My name wasn't even mentioned, not a single word, not even a token gesture like Mark receives the bookshelf he built as a teen. Nothing. It was like I didn't exist. At first, I told myself there had to be a mistake. Surely they just hadn't updated it, or maybe they assumed Lindsay would share things with me. I called, no answer. I texted my mom, "Hey, can we talk for a second?" Read, no reply. That whole night, I paced my apartment, that awful photo burned into my brain. I thought of all the times I said no to hanging out with friends or buying myself something nice just to make sure their light stayed on. I thought of the envelopes of cash I quietly slid into their mailbox when their pride wouldn't let them ask for help directly. And no, I didn't even warrant a mention. 3 days later, I finally got my answer. Mom called while I was at work. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was short, almost casual. "Hey, Mark. Sorry I've been busy. We were going to tell you about the will, but it just made sense to keep things simple. Lindsay's the one with a family, and she's, well, you know, stable. You're doing fine, right? Call me later." Her tone made it worse somehow, not cruel, just dismissive, like it was a perfectly logical decision, like I wasn't owed anything, not even a real explanation. That night, I sat at my desk with a notepad. I wrote down every bill I'd been paying: electricity, water, Wi-Fi, trash pickup, the Netflix account they'd long since stopped contributing to but still used. I calculated how much I'd spent over the last year alone. It came to just over $8,000, not including the random groceries or gas money. And I realized something: I wasn't just the good son, I was the unpaid caretaker, the safety net, the backup plan they never acknowledged but always counted on. I didn't explode. I didn't send an angry text. I just stopped. Quietly, deliberately. I removed my card from the utility autopay system. I canceled the streaming services. I let the overdue notices do the talking. At first, there was silence. A week passed, then 2. Then one Monday morning, I woke up to a text from Mom. No greeting, no pleasantries, just, "Power's about to get shut off. Did you forget to pay again?" Again, like it was my job, like I had dropped the ball on an assignment I was never thanked for doing in the first place. I stared at it for a long time. I thought about replying with a lecture, something sharp and articulate. But instead, I typed one word: no. Then I blocked her number. The calls didn't stop, of course. She tried using Dad's phone, then Lindsay's, even a couple of friends I hadn't heard from in ages suddenly remembered I existed. I ignored them all. My email filled with vague, guilt-laced messages: "You know they're struggling. This isn't you, Mark. Family doesn't turn their back." One message actually ended with "Don't be dramatic." But none of them had seen that will, none of them had heard the way Mom said "You're doing fine," as if success was a disqualifier for decency, as if the minute I stopped needing them, they stopped seeing me as their son and started treating me like a tool, something useful, something replaceable. About 2 weeks after I blocked her, I got a voicemail from Lindsay. I hadn't spoken to her much since college. She was always the favorite, always the good one, but we never really clicked. Her voice was cheerful at first, and then it turned odd. "Hey, Mark. So I heard there's been a little miscommunication. Mom and Dad are kind of in a tough spot, and I figured maybe you could be a sweetheart and help out for a bit. I'm just so swamped with the kids, you know? Anyway, they really need the water turned back on. I told them you'd come around." I didn't reply, but that message, "I told them you'd come around," stayed with me. Because it wasn't a plea, it wasn't even a question. It was an assumption. That was the moment I realized how deep it ran. It wasn't just that they favored her, it was that they truly believed I existed to serve them, that no matter what they did or didn't do, I would be there, I would pick up the pieces, I would pay the bills, because that's who I'd always been, not a son, not an equal, a resource. So I decided to change that. But not with words, not with explanations, not with more sacrifices. No, this time, I had something better in mind, and it started with a quiet visit to the county records office. I showed up at the county records office on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, the kind of day where everything felt heavy: sky, air, even your own thoughts. I hadn't told anyone where I was going. I didn't take the day off work, I just left during lunch with my jacket zipped high and my hands stuffed in my pockets. The place was quiet, a few retirees scanning through property documents, a young couple whispering about marriage certificates. I walked up to the front desk and asked for the clerk who handled property records. Purpose? The woman behind the counter barely looked up. Looking into a house deed, I said, keeping my voice neutral. She handed me a request form. Address? I wrote it out carefully. The house I'd helped save 3 separate times, the same one I'd mowed the lawn for in my 20s when Dad threw his back out, the one I'd painted, power washed, and winterized when they couldn't afford maintenance, the house they'd now left entirely to Lindsay, no caveat, no mention of shared ownership, no, thank you. 10 minutes later, she handed me the file. Their mortgage had been refinanced twice in the last 6 years. The remaining balance wasn't massive, but it wasn't tiny either. And there it was, in black and white. My name wasn't listed anywhere on the deed, not even as a beneficiary, just my parents, and a line stating it would pass to Lindsay upon both their deaths.